Welcome back to the Gardening with Joey and Holly radio show. Thank you for being with us. Want more information about those coupon codes and the sponsors there that support the program? Go to our parent website, thewisconsinvegetablegardener.com, underneath the Season 9 tab, the Radio 9 tab at the top of the page, or the Money tab. Holly, let's go to the hotline and bring in our guest for this week.
Dominique is a passionate and multifaceted Black millennial woman. She is the founder of Farm Unique and has a passion for educating others about growing food and just providing general knowledge about food resources. Welcome to the program, Dominique.
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Well, we're happy to have you, and we thank you for your time. How did you get into gardening, and how did Farm Unique come about from that?
Oh, I love telling this story. So like a lot of people or a lot of millennials my age, I got into gardening during the COVID-19 pandemic. I, at the time, was working in the corporate space, and I was working from home. And I was really looking for something that was more of a creative outlet for me. I am a pharmacist, so most of my day-to-day, I'm using my science brain, and I really wanted kind of like an artistic outlet. And so I was thinking about, what can I do? I grew up in the country setting. My grandfather was a cattleman, so I grew up in the country. So I wanted to do something that kind of got me closer to nature. And that's when I decided to start a garden. And so my husband and I, in the COVID-19 pandemic, we bought a home. And one of the things on my checklist was to purchase a home with a nice backyard that I could start a garden. And so I started a garden, and Farm Unique came about. One of my aunts, when I was thinking of, what am I going to call myself on the internet? Because I think I'm going to showcase my gardening journey on the internet. She came up with all of these names, and one of them that she came up with was Farm Unique. And she said, because you're a pharmacist, but also because farm is like a double entendre for farming. And then my name is Dominique. And so it's like a unique spin on my name, my profession, and farming. So that's where Farm Unique came from.
I love hearing stories. I grew up in the country and grew up on a farm, and I'm sure your grandfather was a hardworking man, just like my parents and my family was. Enjoy those stories, and then you being a pharmacist, transitioning into growing a food garden. I'm sure you see a lot of people popping pills instead of eating vegetables. That would. I'm not a doctor, but if you eat better, you may not have to take so many of those pills.
Yes. And I think that probably was something that was in the background of my mind. I, as a pharmacist, see a lot of people with different chronic illnesses, diabetes, hypertension. And a lot of times I think it's a myriad of things, but I think first of all, it is lifestyle, the way that they eat. But a lot of the times our eating habits come from our mental health status. And a lot of the patients that I work with, they have mental health issues that maybe are unchecked. And a lot of times depression and anxiety can lead you to unhealthy eating patterns. So for me, when I think about gardening, I think about how it's kind of like a therapy. Like it helps ease my mind. It helps calm my thoughts, but it's also a healthy practice for me to grow food that I can consume that's healthier for me. And I think it's a really good balance. And that's one of the things that makes me so passionate about gardening, not just the nutritional aspect, but the therapy aspect of gardening.
And I'll remind our listeners, because we have listeners all over the country and all around the world, if you've got mental challenges, if you feel depressed, ask somebody for help. It's okay to say, hey, I need help. It's not a shame or a weakness. That's what we're all here for, to help each other.
Yes, and I agree with that so much. A lot of times we don't even realize that what we're dealing with is mental health illnesses, and depression and anxiety can show up different in so many people, just depending on who you are. If you're that busy working mom, your depression may not look like someone else's depression because you're on go all the time. So your depression may manifest itself in different ways. But I definitely think through gardening, spending that time in nature, it helps you to calm your mind and kind of sort through those racing thoughts that you have sometimes. And then it makes you more mindful of what you're eating, what you're putting into your body.
Definitely. So you are inspired by the philosophy Sankofa. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, so Sankofa is an African word that means to go back and get it, or to learn from the past and bring those thoughts into the future. And so the reason why I love Sankofa is I think about the teachings of my grandparents and the teachings of my ancestors and those who came before me. My mother has told me stories about how whenever she was growing up, how it was common practice that they grew some of their own food. And so learning that knowledge from my elders and then being able to turn that knowledge around and teach it to people now is something that's really important to me. And learning from past lessons and then learning from the past and then bringing those lessons into the future is something that's really important to me. And so that's one of the principles that I kind of lead my life with, learning from those lessons, listening to my elders, and being able to take those lessons inward and give them to whoever is willing to listen to me and the lessons that I've learned.
Yeah, you've got to listen to the elders because they've been around a lot longer than you and I, and they've seen a whole lot more, and they know what not to do, that we're about to make that mistake. So don't do it because, Yes, for sure. They know a lot more than we know for sure. And being in the garden, being in the woods, being in nature, it's just kind of a reconnection. It's a decompression, reconnection with whom you are. You really start thinking things that you normally wouldn't think while you're picking tomatoes or walking through and hearing the birds.
Yes. And another lesson that I think I've learned to accept more in the garden is I've learned to look at failures in a different way. Let's say you start growing a tomato plant, but you started too late. This actually happened to me. I started growing my tomatoes too late one year. And I learned the lesson of, okay, this tomato plant did not succeed. And instead of being defeated and feeling like I was a failure because I couldn't grow my tomatoes properly, I learned from that lesson, and I was able to take more time to research, when is the best time for me to grow tomatoes here in sunny Florida? And then I was able to take what I learned and put it into practice for future seasons. And I take that with me just through life. Like, I don't look at upsets the same way and things that didn't go my way the same way. I look at, could I learn from this? Just like I learned from the garden, what could I learn from this situation? And gardening has been something that has really driven that home for me.
Well, you speak about growing in Florida. Florida's hot all the time.
Yeah.
What are some tips that you have for growing in the heat, as many portions of the country are experiencing hotter times than they have in past years?
Oh, my goodness. So this is really good. So I would say the first thing is to get familiar with your cool season crops versus the crops that can thrive in heat and humidity, especially for Florida because it's very hot and humid here. And so, for instance, one of the things that I love growing in my garden is collard greens. I'm a Southern girl, love growing my collard greens, love cooking collard greens, but collard greens do not like the heat. And so what I've learned is to start my collard greens at the tail end of the summer, start those seeds, and then plant them out in the fall time because collard greens actually can handle frost. So you can grow them from the fall into the winter, even if it snows where you are, because they can handle some frost. And so getting familiar with the cool season crops versus the crops that can take a little bit of heat, or the heat tolerant crops. So those heat tolerant crops right now would be things like cucumbers and sweet potatoes and okra. Those are the things that will thrive in warmer temperatures. And then preserving things like your lettuces, your broccolis, your Brussels sprouts, reserving those for either very early in the spring or a little later in the summer so you can take those into the fall. That would be like one of the biggest tips I would give gardeners who are facing gardening in those extreme heat and the really high temperatures, is to just get familiar with the crops that you're growing.
That's some really great advice for growing in the heat. So tell us more about your blog and what our listeners can expect when they check it out.
Yeah, so I just actually went through a revamp of my blog, and so I sent out my first actual new blog post. I retitled my blog the Garden Bestie Bulletin, and so what I will be sending out in my blog is, or what readers can find in my blog is, quick tips or easy to follow tips that will help them in their garden based on the season that we're in. So I'll look to give tips based on where we are. So right now, giving tips about gardening in the summer and just giving things that can keep you on track. I believe in planning out your garden is what will kind of lead to more success. So giving you ideas of, okay, hey, we're in the month of June. I need you to start thinking about your fall garden so you can get your seeds ordered, get your seeds started, giving you tips like that so you can be more prepared for your garden. And what I'm looking to do is take some of the struggle and challenges of gardening away from those that are starting gardening. I think a lot of times when you're a beginner gardener, there's so much you don't know, and there's a lot of easy mistakes that you can make that will just can discourage you from gardening. So I'm looking to share all of those different things in my blog in bite-sized pieces that aren't overwhelming and things that are easy to follow to help people have better success in their garden.
Yeah, I think if I was a new gardener and I was just starting out wanting to start a garden, I think it'd be easier for me to fix a riding lawnmower that was broken than try to figure out how to plant all the things and do it right and do it this way. That's why you individuals like you and us, we try to help people make. Yes. We made the mistake so you don't have to.
Yes, for sure. Yes. I say that all the time on social media. I say, I will experiment so that you don't have to learn from a bad experiment. So I'll experiment and then I'll come and I'll teach you what I learned from that experiment. So you don't waste your money and your time.
Well, you utilize neem oil and diatomaceous earth. What do you use them for mostly and why? I know we've dabbled with the neem oil and it has a terrible smell to it, but it's very effective.
Yes, I don't like the way that it smells, but what I like to use them for is whenever my pests are out of control. So diatomaceous earth is probably the one I reach for first. Here in Florida, we have fire ants, and I know everyone is familiar with an ant, but Florida has a special type of fire ant. They like to swarm. This is why you don't see me barefoot in my garden, because I have mounds of fire ants all around my yard, and sometimes they come into my garden bed. So diatomaceous earth is what I primarily use to treat those fire ants, and it's really good for a lot of those soft body insects that are harmful or that can, be a nuisance in the garden, like your aphids. So I'll dust it on things like my collard greens, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, lettuce, and it's really good for the pests that like to dwell in the green leafy vegetables. For the neem oil, same difference. The thing about neem oil for me, I like to use it when it's more rainy, because diatomaceous earth, you can't use it a lot when it rains because it's a powder. And so when it rains, you got to reapply it. So when it's rainier outside, I'll use neem oil because it is an oil. It'll stick a little longer. I don't like to use either one too much because I'm really trying to be more kind to the environment. And I understand that pollinators can be harmed by both neem oil and diatomaceous earth. So I'm very, very conservative in using each one of them. But if it calls for it, if I just cannot get those pests to leave the vegetables alone, I'll pull out one of them depending on the time of year.
That's very helpful information. So we really appreciate having you on the program. How can people find out more about you, your blog, etc.?
Yes, so you can find me on my website. It's www.farmunique, and that's PHARMUNIQUE.com. I'm also at Farmunique on Instagram and at Farmunique _ on TikTok. I'm also over on YouTube under Farmunique, giving all the same information that I provide across all of my social media platforms, and that's where you can find me.
Well, Dominique, we greatly appreciate the time, the information you've shared, not only with Holly and myself, but all of our listeners. We thank you for that very much.
Thank you all so much. It was a pleasure speaking with you this evening.
Absolutely.